Hey guys, Saber here. I'm making this video to conclude most of what I gathered from going the Riftwalk path. The path was incredibly strong while it lasted, but Trove pushed this build out of the meta sooner than I'd liked it to, which is quite unfortunate, but there's nothing you can do about something like this. Maybe incorporate an achievement lock to pieces 7 and 8 of Vortex, but at this point it's just too late. It makes it quite difficult to push NA Western first, as other clans who opt to whale out are at a pretty big advantage over clans that don't whale out. Not saying that my clan doesn't whale out, it's just my clan only whales out what's necessary, and spending thousands, hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars just to fund max gears is pretty distasteful. But I mean, at least in my opinion, I don't know, if you want to whale out, power to you, but back to my main point. Riftwalk meta build is finally coming to an end on our current patch, as the main raid path is just so much stronger than Riftwalk right now. Like Raven is just starting to outscale. Being one of the original Riftwalk BMs on NA, I'd like to think I pushed it to its very limit when it comes to output, and I'm super grateful for this path even being a concept in the first place. It was super fun and quite surprising for the most part. Having such high counts of Dragon Tongue is just always nice to see. Raven build is just hella outscaling Riftwalk, because resets with Riftwalk in our current level of gear offers just little to none. It's simply there for the additional damage, as our rotation is pretty linear and repetitive when you're a max geared Riftwalk BM. Resets for Raven, on the other hand, have more value because, like, Raven is out of Phoenix Wing longer, but it has a higher multiplier on Dragon Tongue, which means, like, when you're getting as much resets in Raven, you're getting a higher uptime on not only that modifier, but just you get more out of each individual extra tab, as opposed to Riftwalk, where that extra tab doesn't mean very much. Not only that, the acquisition of VT8 set completely negates the concept and strength of the Riftwalk BT8 build, and it pushes it really far behind than it already is. And for BMs who are new to the raid environment and are looking to, like, just play a reasonable build, I always suggest going Riftwalk, but obviously it'll eventually convert into the Raven path, because it's just, you know, better at that point. But going Riftwalk first is definitely the most cost efficient build when and it's pretty strong when played correctly. So at equal gear, Riftwalk can and will outperform Raven in a lot of cases, especially the situations with high lag during raids. Let's say like Raven 6 versus Riftwalk 6, BT8 and stuff. Riftwalk 6, if you play it correctly, should and will do more in most cases. The Riftwalk build requires you to go Seraph Sword path, and it requires you to have the Dragon Bracelet from Naru Sanctum and BT8 Soul Shield set from Black Tower or Skybreak Spire, whatever you want to call it. This build will last you the majority of Vortex Temple progression and for most of the farm, but as soon as you acquire your Vortex 8 set, it is not good anymore. It's pretty much obsolete. And if you happen to acquire your Kunlun before your VT8, you just go Kunlun, because Kunlun is just quite strong. I think it's called Orantu in most of the English translations. The modifiers are incredibly strong. Pretty much, like, ideally Kunlun is the best thing you can honestly go for, and then it's your Mystic Badge, and then it's your VT8, obviously. BMs have an incredibly easy time gearing into the raid environment because Riftwalk is quite effective on BM. Its burst is weaker than Raven, but if you get a reset during, if you get a reset, the Sky Shatter effect from the reset is quite strong and can push you higher burst than Raven, but that requires you to get a reset as soon as possible. Otherwise, it's naturally lower burst than Raven. Like I said, at the equivalent gear, Riftwalk at the highest level of gameplay should output more than Raven. So BMs who are wondering if like, oh, if I go Riftwalk, will I do less damage and stuff? Like, in a way you will, but also in a way you won't. The more you get comfortable with the build, it does become a lot stronger, and it's quite easy. I think that the playstyle of Riftwalk is pretty easy for the most part. But yeah, aside from that, as soon as you hit, like, as soon as, how do I say it, you get to that point where it's like you have a Riftwalk and BT8 and Mystic Badge and your Fuse Badge, Raven 9 will start to outperform Riftwalk with all of those variables. But before you get all of those, you can afford to just run Riftwalk. Like, Riftwalk is still very strong in its own right when it comes to having the Colossus Fuse Badge and the Julia Fire Mystic Badge. The Colossus Fuse Badge is Transcendence plus Holy Fire. But yeah, after you acquire the Fuse Badge and the Mystic Badge, Raven 9 will start to outshine Riftwalk. My original observations with the build didn't account for the changes to Blade Echo, and it didn't account for resets, and I quite underestimated the value of resets when it comes to tab uptime with the Mystic Badge. And right now, with my current parses, it's very evidently showing that Raven 9 is definitely better than Riftwalk in our current meta. So with that being said, TLDR, you want to go Riftwalk, and then once you start getting your Fuse and Mystic Badge, you go Raven 9, and then you work into your VT8. And yeah, Riftwalk will last you the majority of your Vortex Temple progression and throughout farm as well, up until you get, like I said, your Vortex 8th set. But after that, Riftwalk is completely obsolete. Raven becomes the dominant path, and it also builds into your Arantu weapon, which is the next tier after Julia is released. So you got that going for you in that regards. But yeah, it's been great while it lasted. I mean, I really did enjoy the Riftwalk meta build. I think I surprised a lot of people with my output when it comes to the Riftwalk, but I cannot output as much as I'd like anymore, considering that I don't have the true Cosmic Soul, and I'm essentially a free-to-play player. So yeah, you're not gonna see any more Riftwalk videos as it's becoming more obsolete for me. I've already swapped to Raven Path because I acquired my VT8 already. So enjoy this last video on a Moyun parse before the level 55 fix. It's not as accurate as it could be, because the DPS should actually be around 250 to 260k on Moyun, which is from my recent parse from this upcoming fix on Wednesday that I didn't record. So yeah, I wish you guys the best of luck. Enjoy your Riftwalk journey. I mean, I really do hope you guys enjoy it for as long as I did, because it was just incredibly fun. I made a lot of people like, what the fuck, because it's like Riftwalk is supposed to be shit, and it's 3 stages under Raven always, and it happens to be so good. So yeah, best of luck on your guys' raid progressions and whatnot. Yeah, that's my last video. Saber out, guys.